Hey, Colin, just read that you have finished your training. Tomorrow, at the day I'm recording this, is your first day as a paid teacher. Congratulations. I know it's been a long road. I know it's been hard. Switching careers when you're an old man like us isn't easy, but, congratulations, man. I'm very, very happy for you. And, yeah, all the best.
Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spike Pit. Big thanks then to Mr. Jason Connolly of Nerds RPG Variety Cast, opening the show with some congratulations. And yes, folks, I am actually now a qualified teacher and just finished my first week teaching in school. Whew, bit of a relief. Talking of schools, we've got a call in now from Barney of Loco, Ludus, talking about school clubs. A fellow teacher and a runner of school clubs. It's most welcome to hear his opinion and some words of advice. Take it away, Barney.
Hi, Colin. I've left the kitchen, living room, dining room to leave you some messages because my son, who's just about to go off and get essentially his GCSE results today, is just started tucking into his breakfast. And that sometimes, especially when he's got his headphones on, which he has, does sound a bit like a construction site. So it's better, it's best for everyone if I leave the room. Oh yes, yeah, there are a few reasons to ring, to call, to leave a message, what I'm doing now. First one is the school groups, basically. A couple of little thoughts on school groups. I got official permission to start a school gaming group just before all the lockdowns and everything started. So that kind of didn't get off to a great start, but we were able to pick it up halfway through the whole pandemic or something, when we were allowed to be in school and distanced and all of that. But the other thing that happened, of course, was that through the pandemic I also did the Trickster's Net project, which, although it wasn't directly connected to school, it was this game design exchange project for young people. So very much in the same vein. And I think that was a real success, and I'm really pleased that me and my colleagues doing this kind of thing, we've got funding to do another bigger project, so that's going to be interesting. Again, I think the one thing that I have to contribute really is that don't underestimate the intelligence and the creativity of the youngsters, and I know you don't do that anyway. What I mean to say is I wouldn't worry too much about the system that you choose. If I think they'll get into it. In my experience, I've been really lucky enough to have young people who were interested in playing my own system. So that's of course not what I'm suggesting you do. And I, of course, it's good, I think, to offer a relatively simple, straightforward system. And I think ICRPG would be really good. I think that the difference is that the young people might not have experience of the games. That's it. They're probably sharper than we are. They have just as many good ideas as we do. The only difference is that they they might not have played role-playing games before. So once they're in, if the ones that are into it, get into it, the ones that turn up there, they'll get stuck in. You'll be, exactly, you'll be, I've got no idea what you'll be, so that's that.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll be, Barney. Regardless of what you say, I'll be adding Trickster's Net. In fact, I have added Trickster's Net to the Google Classroom. So this will be one of the options that they can choose from, a smorgasbord of curated RPG systems. And we'll see what they make of it. And I feel you're right. I feel they will get stuck in. And yeah, never underestimate the kids. I've actually discovered that I will be a form tutor for the year 7s next year, and they're all the bright new things coming to a big school. I've met them on Thursday and Friday for something we call Transition Day. Been running a load of kind of introductory engineering classes. We've been using Connect's construction kits to explore the idea of structures and mechanisms, and levers. I think a simple but fun building, hands-on type of team activities. And I've mentioned the fact that we've got a lunchtime engineering club, and it's from these sort of clubs where you get to know the students a little bit. You find out who may or may not have an interest in getting involved with role-playing games. So I'll keep you posted. And there's more talk of school clubs now from Anthony, aka Runeslinger, of the Casting Shadows podcast.
Hey Colin, it's Anthony again. I've hit traffic, so more messages. And I just wanted to say again how much I appreciated hearing about your experience visiting the role-playing, or the special program that involved role-playing. I find that stories like those, if we can share more of them to more people who are involved on every level with education, I think the better off we'll all be. And I thought you might appreciate hearing this anecdote. A few years ago, I had an opportunity to start a program with language learners. And there's a prevailing belief here in Korea, that the students, and this is a belief that the students have about themselves, and I personally feel it's something that they have been erroneously taught about themselves, but that's another topic. They believe that they're not creative, they believe that they don't have imagination, they believe that critical thinking and problem solving, they believe all of these things are skills that they don't have. And one of the things that they blame, of course, is a rote learning methodology, which is still very pervasive all throughout their education system. So I had an opportunity to put together a program to enhance language training and public speaking and writing skills. And so what I pitched was a combination of all of those things. And so the source material for what they wrote, what their creative writing project was, the source material was role-playing game sessions that they played in and ran. And I didn't tell them about this before they entered the room, but if you can imagine, they got a brief primer on what we'd be doing, and then they got a brief primer on what is a role-playing game, which makes me laugh. And then I ran them very briefly. I handed out some pre-gens and ran them very briefly through a situation that they needed to make decisions about. And then we took a break, and then we came back, and then I handed out notepads and note paper to random people I selected in the room and said, okay, now you're going to do the job that I was doing. And I handed out character sheets to everybody else and says, you're going to make your own characters. And we created characters, and we created situations, and we played. So these people were exposed to game mastering and then started game mastering and playing within minutes of hearing about the concept. And as you might expect, being a role-playing gamer, and an educator. As you might expect, they rose to the occasion, and it was awesome. It was incredible, the kind of stuff that they came up with, and it was incredible to see how much fun they had with it. And I ran this program for years, twice a year for 4 years, and never once had a bad experience. I had experiences that were, creatively less interesting than other experiences, but I never had someone say, I can't do it. I never had someone balk or freeze up. It was just a really positive experience, and to see their surprise and joy that they could write a story afterward, right? They were encouraged to not just transcribe the events of play, but to embellish the events of play and change the events of play. And it was really rewarding for me, but hopefully rewarding for them. More so, but who can say? Anyway, I thought I would share that tale from the trenches, so to speak. I thought you might enjoy it. Anyway, thanks for sharing. I really, really got a lot out of it, and I hope to hear more about your endeavors in that regard. Anyway, take care.
Well, folks, what can I say? An amazingly encouraging and inspirational tale shared by Anthony there. I love stories like this, and he mentions at the beginning, we need to share this stuff and get these ideas out there and see how many other kind of people, educators perhaps, dads, youth workers, people that could have a positive influence on young people with what amounts to a fairly simple idea. RPGs don't need to be overblown, expensive and super complicated, and I think we all know the potential value that resides in these types of games. I mean, it's I had supportive teachers growing up, and there were less supportive people in the community. There were critics. There was the satanic panic going on, but I think on the whole, it was role-playing games have been a massively useful and productive part of my life, and I really do want to share that. I mean, Anthony mentions it. He never had a negative experience in all that time, and I'm not really surprised. For the creative types, it can be such a great outlet, and we got, in fact, myself and fellow Purple Worms, John Large and Pete Jones, we're going to be talking around a similar subject to this, and what keeps us role playing in an upcoming episode of Purple Worm, recording it later this month. So listen out for that one if you're interested. But thanks very much, Mr. Runeslinger.
Hey, Spike Pit, me again. Plant monsters. Dude, perfect timing. I recently learned about two of the world's largest organisms that both happen to be plants. So the world's largest organism by weight, it's known as Pandu, and it's this collection of, I believe, aspen trees in Northern California, I think. It's all a single organism, but it's a whole forest of aspen trees and other stuff, but it's one single organism they figured out through science. I don't know the math or the science behind it. The other one, the largest organism by area, I guess, is this seagrass found off the coast of Australia that they've recently discovered. It clones itself. It's this one huge organism of seagrass that's just massive. And these are just crazy organisms, right? And it flowers and it fruits and it's a seagrass and it's crazy. Anyway, man, plant monsters rule. Peace out.
Well, Joe mentions perfect timing. And is this not perfect timing? Educational content from Joe combined with the potential creativity that can be unleashed with RPGs. I mean, Joe has been talking about this in recent episodes. He's been talking about pyramids, and he often mentions history and I'm a firm believer in this idea that the truth is often far, far more fantastical than even our wildest imaginations. What really went on. We've been around for so long, and we must have very little idea what actually went on, and it blows your mind. Check out Hindsightless for much more talk about this. Joe's got a great interest in this kind of anthropological stuff. I love it, but my knowledge is very limited. I'm particularly interested in what some people call primitive technology. I don't really like that word primitive. I think it's got some kind of negative connotations. But thousands of years ago, we were doing such clever things, and some of that knowledge, and probably quite a lot of that knowledge, has been lost. For example, in much more recent time, in the Middle Ages, we had pretty much a golden age of carpentry and joinery skills. The medieval woodworkers of the day were absolute master craftsmen, and it's debatable whether there are too many people that can achieve what they were achieving then in this day and age, even with all the tools and technology that we've got now at our disposal. It is mind-boggling to think, how some of these folks achieved what they did. Just, it is staggering. And like I say, Joe talks about this, and he's got a whole bunch of callers calling in. So check out Hindsightless for some more of that chat. And thanks for the call, Joe. Really appreciated. I do love a plant monster, and this idea of fungi and forests that communicate through their roots, and ailing trees that can pass nutrients to other trees when they know they're dying. They kind of like bestow their nutrients onto other kind of like family trees, if you like. I mean, it's incredible, and rich pickings for the adventure writer. Talking about educational podcasts, I've been listening to Ray Otis on Plundergrounds, and he has been talking he's been talking about this note-taking system of taking notes, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a German name. Basically means, what is it? Notes in a box, something like that. But he uses Obsidian, and well, that's led me down a note-taking rabbit hole. It's an application that uses markdown notes and organises them in really interesting and useful ways. I direct you to Plundergrounds for a proper explanation of that. And I mentioned this on Discord, and my old buddy Pete Jones piped up and says he's got 3 episodes about using Obsidian for RPGs. So the rabbit hole gets ever deeper. I haven't got too much to say about it other than it's really quite fascinating, and I will be exploring it more. But on that subject of note-taking and using digital media, I've got a call in from my buddy Rich Fraser of Cockatrice Nuggets. He's been talking about the Paperwhite and note-taking, all sorts of stuff. So a series of messages now from Rich. Take it away, Rich.
Hey Colin, just wanted to jump in on this whole electronic note-taking kind of thing, and what some of my solutions are. So first of all, I want to totally agree with you for the Paperwhite. It's not cheating. It's been proven. There's no blue light there. It's like looking at a piece of paper with one of those little book lights on top of it. So I love my Paperwhite, and it is by far If I'm thinking about it and have to choose, that's what I read before I go to bed. I'm dumb though. I sit on my phone on Facebook before bed. I need to be more rigorous about that. So yeah, that's something for me to work on. I tried all kinds of solutions for paper notes. The paper's fine. The feeling's fine. I like to draw out my maps and stuff. When I use paper notes, there is a lot of printing involved, but that can kind of be fun sometimes, especially if it's not the right size or if I'm pasting it into a journal. But really, what really gets me is the waste. Like, I'll buy this journal or I'll make this journal. It's, got 100 pages in it, and I use 25, and then that's it. And then my notes are scattered all over the place. I can't find anything. What I really find paper's good for is building something, like making 2 columns of things and picking things out, writing a temporary list down and being able to go back and see exactly what my mistakes were. Whereas in a Word document, I'm replacing stuff, so I'm not exactly seeing it. That's mostly why I've moved on from paper, though, because it feels like such a waste. I've got a lot of these half-filled notebooks everywhere with all kinds of junk in them. Digital notes, man, this is where I live. First of all, I use World Anvil to prep, so all my stuff's typed up. Second of all, I've experimented a lot with the digital stuff. So you mentioned taking pictures of your notes. OneNote's great for this. It will extract text if it can, if your writing's not too sloppy like mine. To go along with this, Rocketbook is great. You can go to their website, download pages and print them out and use them and take pictures of them, and they go straight to wherever you want. Email, OneNote. I think you can even customize stuff. I edited the frame in Photoshop and pasted it around things. I made a clear frame that I could throw down and take a picture of, and so that stuff goes straight to OneNote for me. It's a really cool, and OneNote is a great tool. When I was journaling, which I need to do more of, I was doing it inside of OneNote with a Microsoft Surface and a pen, so I was actually writing stuff. So what I've been looking at now is these e-ink devices. These, it's Books, B-O-O-X, Supernote. Remarkable is the popular one. They come with a pen. You can write on them like a piece of paper. It's supposed to feel really good. The time for the pen to write on the page is really quick. So it feels like you're writing on paper, not like there's some little disconnect there. But what I got, folks, what I got now is a note, or not a note, it's a Samsung Fold, Galaxy Fold. This thing is amazing. It's like the size of a small phone, and then it opens up, and it's like 2 small phones pasted together. This thing is so big. I read PDFs on it. I make notes on it. It's in my pocket at all times, so I can do things, regular phone things on it. It's amazing. This is the stuff, man. This is the juice. This is the thing I think I've been looking for as far as pen-to-paper note-taking. I love it. And I can write OneNote with it.
So after hearing Rich's enthusiasm for his Galaxy folder, well, of course, I had to check it out, and it does look like a sweet, sweet piece of kit outside my price range, of course. And if I had to choose, and I was going to pick up a device at the moment, I would probably get myself maybe some kind of fitness watch thing. I don't know if I'd get an Apple Watch or some kind of Fitbit type of thing. I'm doing a bit of cycling and walking. I'm riding to work every day, and I'd like to kind of track that some way and encourage myself to do that more. I'm still getting my weight down. I'm just above 180 pounds now, down from 213, so I'm pleased with how that's going, and I'm getting a bit more energy by doing this exercise. I feel a bit more invigorated, so I'm pleased to report that. But as far as devices go, I do love my my MacBook Air. It's worked out really well for me, and they have got a cunning way of designing these really desirable gadgets. Very beguiling indeed. And talking of beguiling, what's he still tempt me with this upcoming release of Spelljammer, but be assured I will resist. I'm just not picking up books at the moment, but it doesn't mean I'm not tempted. And Karl, now the GMologist himself, he talks about a book that I remember back in the day, and back then I was tempted, but at the time lacked the funds to make a purchase. So a little bit of a trip down memory lane now with Mr. Rodriguez.
Hey, Spikepit, this is kind of a call towards BJ's lauding over Spelljammer. I do like Spelljammer, don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it back when it came out in 89, 90, but definitely it is derivative of a product, although they did add, of course, fantasy monsters and the cosmology that more fits the TSR D&D world, right? But Space 1889 came out a year earlier by GDW, and it was totally, phlogiston-based ships and the like. So, but Spelljammer tweaked it for a fantasy setting, and I don't really see that Space 1889 was super popular, but there's definitely floating ships, and it came out a year earlier. So, and there's probably some crosstalk and crossover between designers from GDW and TSR anyway, right? The cool thing about Space 1889 is there is a more recent rule set than the GW task system developed back in 1988, and they've redone it for Ubiquity system, which would please Anthony, and he's probably played it, and Jason Connerly, who's been on a Ubiquity kick, or was about a month ago, and now is all about the westerns and aces and eights and the like. So yeah, it uses Ubiquity system now, which would be kind of neat to do. I think I got everything on like some sort of bundle of holding or humble bundle or whatever. So pretty neat. There was that game and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs way back that kind of were neat. An appeal to me, games that I always liked but never picked up because, well, we were playing Twilight 2000 or Merc 2000. So sorry, have to do it. Phlogiston. I don't know what BJ was thinking of phlogiston, but it's phlogiston. From the Greek pronunciation with the soft G. Sorry, I know Hobbs did this to Jason Connerly, and I apologize, BJ, ahead of time, but sometimes mispronunciation grates on my nerves. Although we do say tomato, so I'm sure that bothers a lot of people from the UK, and potato. And we misspell color and armor as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Karl. I hear some funny old pronunciations when I listen to things. Quite often, I think it's folk that have read words and never heard them in conversation. In fact, DM Ricky and my brother Arfed, they're classics for this, and I don't like to bring it up. It kind of brings a little smile to my face. And as for tomatoes and potatoes and things like that, you say that however you like, mate. You'll get no argument from me. My accent is definitely a case for not throwing stones in a glass house. And there you go, there's a reference back to Mr. Hobbs, who was inquiring what a glass house was in a recent episode of Random Screed. And as far as my understanding goes, that is a greenhouse. A glass house is a house made of glass for growing plants in. So in the UK, that would be a greenhouse, a glass house are interchangeable. I bet you was all dying to find out about that sort of stuff. But I know there are some listeners out there who are quite grateful for some of these ramblings, and we've got a little bit of encouragement now from my old buddy. It's been a little while, but it's none other than the great mind that's behind, the mastermind, that's what I'm looking for, behind Eldritch Tales and other bits and pieces. Currently working on a new project called Reaver. It's Joe Salvador of Raven God Games. He's going to close out the episode. Take it away, Joe.
Hey Colin, it's your old Budsky Joe from across the pond. Hey, I was just listening to your most recent episodes, and I never stopped listening. But it occurred to me that I haven't really called in for quite a long time. Too long, in fact. So I'm calling and just saying that you are, maintaining, dude. You're doing a great job. I'm still listening. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Yeah, so I think your game club sounds amazing. I really hope it takes off. But I also feel your kind of pain, man, because I think it's kind of like an 80s thing. Like growing up back then, it was kind of a stigma, right, if you play D&D or whatever. And I don't really tell people that I play D&D, like very rarely. Maybe I guess after I get to know them. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, and it's kind of, like a silly psychological thing, I guess. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm running out of time. Cheers, buddy.
And that, as they say, is a wrap. Big thanks goes out to you, the listener, for taking a bit of time out of your day to listen to Old Spike Pit. Take care, and I'll catch you later.